All right, so we are going to work in Gravit to create something using text tools. So by now you've watched the video for an overview of text tools, and now we're going to be using some of those text tools to create something. So I'm going to do this first. Now we won't need this file until a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and open up this file. That way we're on the same page. It just makes things a little bit easier. So I'm going to start in my Chapter 2 Gravit file links, and I'm going to click on my Berry text. My Berry text file so that it'll take me straight to Gravit, and then it'll also open the data file that I need. My computer is running a little slow, so I'm going to pause it and unpause it a couple times while I'm recording this just to speed up the viewing for you. Okay, so here's your data file. It's called Berry text file, and I'm just going to leave him open. You see that this one is the one that was created by me, so you can't really edit this, which is fine because we're just going to use this data anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new design, and I'm going to make it 720. Come on. 720 pixels. Why is this not letting me type? All right, there we go. 720 by 720. And I'm going to click create. And that'll give us a nice blank space to work with. Okay, so let's start by doing the text tool. And I'm just going to click anywhere on the page. And I'm going to get inside my text box. It's going to auto put in a text box for us. And I'll double click inside of that to select all that text. And in all caps, I'm going to write Berry. So we are making a logo for something called Berry Symposium. And we are going to be working with this logo a little bit to get it to learn all the things that Chapter 2 teaches. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to change it to, let me see, 142 point font. And then right now it's just a sans serif font, and I want to change it to a serif font. Now I'm on the free paid subscription right now, so I'm going to go up and choose one that I know you guys have on the free, and that is, I think it's Adamina, but it kind of looks pretty similar to Times New Roman. So once we get it in there, we're going to modify it a bit. We're going to modify its spacing and such. So if you'll remember when we learned in Chapter 2 that, in your intro unit, when we were talking about text, we looked at spacing, character spacing, tracking, kerning, those kind of things. So we're going to do tracking first, and that's in character spacing. So right now we have 0. So we're going to take this to something pretty small. On Gravit, you don't have to do big numbers here, but if you're working in Illustrator, the numbers do need to be a little bit bigger. So we're just going to do like a -4. And if you'll remember, negative makes it go closer, positive makes it go farther away. But you'll notice we still have a few gaps, and we have some that went a little bit too close together. So that would need to modify kerning, excuse me. So I'm going to select the B in Berry. If I want to modify the space between the B and the E, I'm going to select the B and then go in and modify my character spacing. So I'm actually going to take this to a -10. And you'll notice it just moves the B and the E together, not the remainder. I'm going to go to my R right before the Y, and I'm going to increase that to a negative, I think a -12. We could probably go even higher than that, maybe like a -14, and really still have some space. They can kind of meld into each other a little bit there. But between my R and my R, they are almost right on top of each other. So I want to actually move them a little farther apart. So I'm going to select my R, and I'm going to make that a -3 so that it will, well, come on. -3. So that it will keep them pretty close together, but at least give some separation. All right. So I like this. I'm going to move him to the center. So center and then center. And then we like him just the way he is. So I'm going to actually lock it in place over on my layers panel. And then I'm going to hide the layer. We're going to come back to him later. So I'm just going to hide him, get him out of sight, out of mind, so that I can work on it later. Now I forgot we haven't saved it yet. So let's go ahead and do that now. So let's go File, Save to Cloud As. And we're going to call this Berry Symposium. And I'm going to call mine Berry Symposium 1 because I've already created one of these. So Berry Symposium, Symposium. All right. So the next thing we're going to work with is that text file that we opened earlier on. And that's on the separate tab. So that'll be good for us. We're going to do something kind of backwards, just because this is something that in Illustrator, it's got a super easy way to do this. And we are doing an Illustrator tutorial in Gravit. So we're kind of having to do things a little bit backwards, but it'll be okay. So let's go over to Berry text file. And we're going to select everything on this page. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to Berry Symposium. And I'm going to just edit and paste it. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit so that we can see what we're doing. And then I'll explain. So what we're going to do first, we're going to turn this into a diamond. And we are going to, so let's go ahead and angle this guy 45 degrees. And we're just going to use this as a helper. So these are a bunch of different types of berries, this text right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to hit enter in order to make this fit into this shape. Now, again, on Illustrator, you can take this text and fit it into the shape. But like I said, we're trying to do things just a little bit backwards. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is make this text smaller. It's size 16 font right now. So let's make it 11 point font. And then we're going to go in one by one, and we're just going to make it into a diamond shape. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to center it. That'll help. And I'm going to go up, and I'm just going to double click and get my insertion point in here. And I know that rasp, because it's raspberry, see how that works? That's going to be the first little one. So I'm going to hit enter after rasp and see how it fits in like so. And then I'm going to come after the word blue, and I'm going to hit enter and then see straw and blue fit in. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to kind of pause, do this real quick, and then I'll come back and tell you what you need to do next. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to go in. You're going to just pause it on this screen, and you're going to go in, and one by one, you're just going to hit enter until it looks kind of like this. Now you see it's not perfect. See how the blue goes over a little bit, and they go over a little bit in other ways. That's okay because of what the effect we're going to do. But pause this video, look at what you're seeing, and hit enter to make it kind of fit into a diamond shape. All right, so hopefully you've done that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut this text box. And now it's kind of out of the way. I'm going to click on my little box that I used as a guide, and I'm going to delete him. And now I'm going to zoom out so I can see my whole page. So now that I've got that text box cut, it's sitting on my clipboard. I've got that diamond shape deleted. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to paste. It's so slow. Okay, so now I've pasted it on. Sorry, my computer is just running really slow. And then using my helper guides, I'm going to get them right in the center. And then we're going to put this little guy, he's going to be inside of a circle in a little bit, and it's going to have a really cool gradient effect, you'll see. So let's lock him in place. We're not going to hide him, but we are going to lock him. We don't really want to mess him up any further. All right, last thing we're going to do in this little tutorial is we are going to learn how to type on a path. So to do that, I'm going to put in a circle. And I'm going to draw in a perfect circle. So if you remember, we hold down the shift key to do that. And then my width, oh, I came really close. My width and my height are going to be 275. So I'll click on that little button to keep the ratio, and then I click 275. Now go ahead and take a minute, and he needs to go right in the middle. So use your helper guys to get him right in the middle, or you could use these guys up here, the inspector. You could use, you could click center, and you could click middle, but the helper guides work just fine too. So we're going to take the text tool and we're going to type to where it kind of curves like this. So it's pretty simple to do that. Make sure that your circle's selected. You're going to go to the T for type. And then when you get right on the path, you'll notice how your circle turns pink. And that means that you're going to be able to start writing on the path. And this could be whatever. It could be a line, a curve, an arc, whatever. So we're going to go to about 10 o'clock. And I'm just going to click. I didn't get it. Right again. So I'm going to go to about 10 o'clock. And whew, there we go. I got it, but my font's really big. So I'm going to take my font back down to a normal size. I think actually it's going to end up being 47 points. So I can even start there. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it 47 point, and I'm going to go back to that serif font that we chose in the beginning. And that was Adamina. All right. So I'm going to double click that. And what I'm going to type on it is 3 rivers in all lowercase letters. Now it may not look super centered. So see this little red or orange, whatever color you want to call it, baseline. You can kind of drag him around and see he goes around the circle. I'm just going to drag him to where I feel like it's pretty centered. And then I'll leave it like so. I guess that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more to the right. And it's really just an eyeball. Just kind of get it the way you like it. And then we're going to do a very similar thing. So I'm going to click on my circle again, but this time we're going to go at the bottom. So I'm going to click on the type tool and I'm going to go down here to about 4 o'clock. And now I'm going to type in symposium. Now it's upside down right now, which is not what we want. So we are going to, I'm actually going to switch to my selection tool. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to look over here on the right-hand side. So you see where it says on path. So we have 2 options. We can do it outside the path like it is right now, or we can do it inside the path. And if you want to do it inside the path, you just kind of click on either side of this slider. And then right now, if he's inside the path, you know, he looks upside down. So I'm going to click reverse, and then it's hard to see because he's up here. So I'm going to drag him around, and it basically is straight up and down, but outside. So I want you to get symposium, and whoop, I got to get him on the right path, drag him around until he is right where you want him. And it's pretty sensitive. Even in Illustrator, it's pretty sensitive until you get it just where you want it. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty centered. I could go in now and I could modify it some more, but I think I'm going to keep it just well enough alone since my camera's lagging so much anyway. All right, the last thing we're going to do is you can go in and you can modify some of this character spacing. So it looks pretty crowded right here because of the way we flipped it outside. So I'm going to change my character spacing to a +1, if it'll let me. positive number. There we go. I'm actually going to go up to 5, maybe even more. Let's go up. Nope, that's too much. Okay, it's trial and error. Can you tell? Let's go to 6. I'm happy with 6. So it just spreads it out just a little bit more so that it doesn't look super duper crowded. And then you could do that with 3 rivers if you wanted to, and you could go around as well. So I'm going to click on my little circle now. He has to stay because that's the path that we want. And I'm going to delete my fill. So you should see your little diamond shape inside there, and you should see symposium. So we'll work with these guys a little bit later. We're going to do some with gradient and shading in our next tutorial. So kind of be happy with that. And then that's it for this tutorial.